Oh,
Bless you.
All right, look at that. It worked. I still don't think I know this by heart. Welcome to Garden of the Spirit, the class studying apples from the orchard by Rabbi Moshe. Oh, for the second time, beginning after Pesach 2014. This class meets in Longmeadow, Massachusetts, center of the universe, and is held in memory of Malka Ruth Bas Moshe. Margaret Vogel of blessed memory. Apples in the Orchard contains selections of teachings of Kabbalah from the Arizal, Rabbi Yitzchak Luria, based on the weekly Torah portion, superbly translated and explained by Rabbi Moshe Wisniewski. We are on page 665. I think we may have finished it last week. But
yeah, we did.
We'll pick up from, we'll repeat a little bit here.
Yeah.
So we started by saying that there's a difference between, we started talking about Shemitah, the 7-year cycle when the land isn't worked every 7th year. It's different than Shabbos. We said on Shabbos, there is an elevation of the spheres, a 7th day. On the 7th year, on Shemitah, there is also an elevation, but there are several differences. And then on Yovel, there's also an elevation. The 50th year, the Jubilee year, there's also an elevation, but there are different. We then said that everything, and I'll start this off with a little anecdote, the personal anecdote. The last school year, my wife had to go somewhere, either her own appointment or her mother's appointment, and I watched her class for an hour, and I really have a problem doing that. I was myself in the classroom for many, many years, almost 30 years, and I managed. I dealt with it. But when I sub for someone else, especially for my wife doesn't leave busy work, she leaves real work, and she gives clear directions, and we give it to the kids, and then the kids start asking me questions. Can we use our book? Can we use our notes? Do we have to write cursive? Can we do like this? And they ask me questions, I never know the answer. So she hears, oh yeah, here's the directions, everything's here, and then she leaves, and I give the kids directions, and one wise girl says, I have a question. I'm like, okay, it's starting right away, and I don't know the answer. And she says, I say, any questions? She says, yes, I do. I said, what is it? What's the meaning of life? So I was expecting, can we use our book? Can we look in? Do we have to use a pencil or can we use a pen? Can we use the computer? What's the meaning? I said, I'm so glad you asked that because that one I know the answer to. I said, it's Avodas Habirurim. So Avodas Habirurim. Avodas Habirurim is to basically what might be called in the vernacular, to repair the world. That from Kabbalah we know that when the world was created, there was Olam HaTohu. There was a world which is called Tohu, which you might see translated as chaos or nothingness. And each sphera there was totally independent, had no interdependency with other spheres. And such a world can't exist, and therefore this world crashed and burned. What we call Shviras HaKelim in the Kabbalah, the shattering of the containers. And our job is to pick up the pieces. And this is called Birurim, which is a good question what that means, or Birur could mean to select. That means you gotta pick up all the good stuff and leave the bad. Or it can mean to purify and cleanse. Word bara means something that's clear. So it could be a combination of both. You got to pick up the piece. You break the jar of marinara sauce, and it's not a plastic jar, it's glass. So then, you pick up the piece. It has all the marinara sauce on it. Then you got to wash it out, under the sink. under the faucet in the sink. You got to rinse it. So this idea of birur, I think, has both connotations. I'm not sure which one it officially is. So I'm going to translate it here today as selecting or cleansing or purifying. And this is the meaning of life. This is what we're here for. This is the purpose of life. We are here to pick up the pieces, the shards, and some places they call them usually it's translated as sparks, that we're purifying, selecting or purifying the sparks. And this is what it's all about. Where are these sparks from? They're from Tohu. In Kabbalah or in Hasidus, when we speak about Tohu, we refer to it by its metaphor. What is the metaphor of Tohu? That is the chapter 36 of Bereshis, the 8 kings of Edom who ruled before there was a king in Israel. The Torah says that the king ruled and he died, he ruled and he died for the first 7, not for the 8th. And this refers, and this is aligned or associated with Tohu. And the 8 kings were from Esav. And Esav is associated with Olam HaTohu, the world of chaos or the world of nothingness. There's also, it could be that just as the spheres of Tohu, like I mentioned, are self-contained, they're independent, they don't interact with anyone else, with any other sphere, such a world can't exist. Each one does not leave room for the other. So it could be that Esav is also like this. Esav is full of himself, full of self-importance, and that's could be another reason why he's aligned with Tohu, why he's referred to himself. So these are the 8 kings. We usually, instead of saying the world of Tohu, we just refer to them as the 8 kings, or sometimes the 7 kings, since the Torah does not mention that the 8th one died. When it says the king died, it means that they crashed and burned.
Can I ask a question?
And we said, we'll repeat this.
I'll go ahead with a question.
Yeah.
Does Esau become white people? That's what I thought. Like Ishmael's the Arabs?
Ishmael is the Arabs. Esav is
The Romans.
basically Rome.
Oh,
Romans.
And at Rome, Christians, by extension, the United States of America.
okay.
And I did watch. Jim?
Yeah, not white people, and Ishmael isn't black people.
Okay. I thought he was Arabs, Muslims.
But they're not all black.
Right.
She didn't say black.
But there's a contrast between white and black. Sometimes the current vernacular has this crazy white-black thing. And there's an alignment with Muslims because they're black. It's a crazy thing, but if you look at some of the protests, you'll see that.
And how many dark-skinned people are Jewish in Israel?
Of course.
Of Israel too.
Yeah, of course.
So
But you
nothing,
see the IDF.
so nothing that like Ishmael and Esav tracks to African American skin. That's just where you got your melanoma, right? Where your people are from, right?
In general
How much
terms,
sun there
you
is.
might say that the 3 sons of Noah, Shem, are the Asians, in very general terms. Shem could be Asians, Ham would be Africa, and Yefes would be Europe.
Mhm.
In very general terms.
Okay. Because I always thought, the worst of them all, white people, Esav.
That's what I'm talking about.
So there is, okay. Thank you for the question.
Just curious.
So what we said is that when we we mentioned in general terms that we have to work. And this work, physical labor, or we work, and during our work, we're going to make this point again here, that we observe mitzvahs during our work. And as we observe the mitzvahs, we are selecting and cleansing these sparks or shards of tohu. And this is why the Torah gives us mitzvahs for mundane matters. How to plow our field, not to have an ox and a donkey together, and so on and so forth. So, okay, we're going to start 665. Let me see if I can find this.
In Chaim, just briefly, one easy way and very meaningful way to remind myself is when I do Aleinu and I get to the second piece, and this is Saker Alom b'machos
Shin Daled Yod.
Shakai.
Yeah.
So we're repairing, we're cleaning up the world under the kingdom of Hashem, and that's what we're doing, with refining and purifying and cleaning up, etc. But it's got to be under the kingdom of Hashem, and that's your mitzvahs, etc., etc. If it's another agenda, it's a problem.
Very good. Very good. So we are repairing the world.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dick, I'll call you later. I'm going to have my Kabbalah class now. Okay, I'll call you back later. Bye.
Alan, how long are you on for?
Okay, bye.
He's ready.
Okay, Alan, 665. Whatever. Furthermore.
Furthermore, even all the lowest aspects of this world are derived from the holy sparks of Tohu, that is, from the coarsest refuse left from those 7 kings. Since the material aspects of this world are derived from the coarsest aspects of Tohu, they can therefore be refined only after numerous processes of rectification and types of work.
Okay, I'll do 15 now. This is why, I think this matches. This is why mitzvahs, the process of cleaning the shards, involve labor. There are mitzvahs involved in plowing, planting, and so on, for each step of the process to produce food. Proverbs says, know him in all your ways. This means we serve Hashem as we go about our day, not just when we daven or study Torah, through each activity of our day. So it says, b'chol, in every step of the process, we're going to serve Hashem. Okay, go ahead, Alan.
For this reason, every type of work done in this world is employed for some active mitzvah. For example, if one goes to plow the ground, he can perform the mitzvah of you shall not plow an ox and a donkey harnessed together. If one goes to plant, he can perform the mitzvah of you shall not plant your vineyard with mixed species. The same applies to all other types of work. This is the mystical meaning of the verse, know him in all your ways.
Continue.
All this is in order that we may elevate those kings by means of our work and the power of the active mitzvahs that they entail. Through this whole use of our power to work in these ways, these types of work are elevated.
Okay, 666, number 16. When the process to make bread is over and it is eaten by a person, the bread becomes part of that person. When he then serves Hashem, the bread he ate is purified and elevated. This is true for everything a person does. The physical objects become elevated. Go ahead, 666.
Then, when the bread has been finished and a person eats it, the spark of divine life force in the bread returns upward, being elevated, and becomes an integral part of the limbs of this person. And so it is with all things in the secret of know him in all your ways. As we have said, this principle can be applied in all details of life if someone seeks to understand these details fully. If someone examines his life deeply enough, he will see how the above principle, that holy use of the material world increases the power of holiness in the world, holds true in all circumstances.
Okay, thanks. 17. Again, this is why physical labor is essential to the world. The physical objects in the world are derived from the shards that's shattered from the 7 kings. And by observing mitzvahs associated with the physical labor, the shards are elevated. Go ahead, Alan.
We shall therefore now repeat that even the lowly forms of physical labor performed in this world exist in order that we elevate the 7 kings with them. And all types of work exist in the context of this world. The physical correlate of the world of Asiya.
One moment. Okay. The names of Hashem, Kel Adni, are associated with the fourth stage of creation, Asiya. Kel is 31, Adni is 65. Together they equal 96, the same as the word malacha, labor. So 96, malacha, labor, this is why we labor in the world. Food, which is absorbed in the body and is converted to energy, is less physical and is associated with yitzira. The word ochel, eat, equals 57, the same as kel havaya, 31 and 26. This is really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Alan.
Therefore, the numerical value of the word for work, malacha, 96, is the same as that of the two names Kel Adni together. Malacha, mem lamed aleph chav hey, 40 plus 30 plus 1 plus 20 plus 5 is 96. Kel aleph lamed is 1 plus 30 and 31. And Adi aleph daled nun yud, 1 plus 4 plus 5 plus
50.
Plus 50 plus 10 is 65. And 31 plus 65 is 96. The divine name Adi, my Lord, is associated with the Sephira of Malchus and the world of Asiya.
Okay, so that is part of what I wrote in 18. The other part about food is in the text on the left, whatever that was called. Okay, 19. So during weekdays, all activities we do elevate physical objects. And I'm going to say, like what I mentioned at the beginning of my introduction, that the interchangeable terms are elevate, select, or purify and cleanse. So during weekdays, all activities we do elevate physical objects, so long as the activities are not forbidden. In that case, if they're forbidden, not only are objects not elevated, the klipas are increased. The verse, know him in all your ways, that we just mentioned, implies that we serve Hashem, we elevate shards of Tohu in our mundane activities that are in accordance with Torah. Notice that it says, in all your ways. Know Hashem in all your ways. That means you sit down for dinner, you're on the computer, you go to the post office, you're tending your garden, mowing your lawn, whatever it is, or you're going to work. When things that are your ways and not necessarily things that the Torah directs you to do, that is where you should have the special effort to know him. So this verse implies we serve Hashem and elevate shards of Tohu in our mundane activities that are in accordance with Torah, and the 7 kings are thus elevated. Go ahead. As we have said, on weekdays, all types of work are permitted, as long as in doing them one does not commit any sin. For if he does, they will not be elevated. On the contrary, this will increase the power of evil.
The sparks within them are elevated only when they are performed in a completely permitted manner, fulfilling the verse, know him in all your ways, as we said, and with the intention of elevating thereby the seven kings.
Okay. Let's go to 20 here. 20. We serve Hashem and observe mitzvahs with physical objects, such as tzitzis, tefillin, and lulav, and with our devotion, such as prayers. The shards in the physical world of Asiya and in the higher stages of creation are elevated. I'm not sure if exactly a lot connected them and said that the physical mitzvahs are for the lower shards and the more emotional or spiritual mitzvahs connect the higher shards in the higher world. I don't know. Could be. This is why labor is so expensive. No. This is why labor is permitted and even ordered for us to do so, for us to do. It is the only way that the shards will be elevated on weekdays. Why? Because when we observe the mitzvahs with the physical objects, then those shards get elevated. They get cleansed, they get purified, they get selected first. Okay? Go ahead, Alan.
This applies both to what we do in order to elevate the sparks of this world and to what we do in order to elevate the supernal worlds and to elevate the souls. We accomplish all this ourselves with the power of the work of our hands, that is, our prayers and mitzvahs, such as tzitzis, tefillin, and lulav, etc., etc. For it is possible to elevate the sparks of holiness present in the workday aspect of creation only via our own efforts. This is why work is permitted and why we have been commanded to perform the various commandments, and especially the inner dimension of our prayers.
Okay. 21. Now, the shards of Tohu can only be elevated if the spiritual worlds and the physical world work together. We actually do the labor, but without assistance of the spiritual worlds, the labor would not add any holiness to the physical objects. As it says in Tillim, Tenuos Lelokim, give power to God. We are doing God a favor. We're supplying him with power, with this ability to make a change in the physical world. The spiritual, we on our own, we cannot do holiness. We cannot connect anything to holiness. Who are we? We're physical people. It's only that Hashem says here, when you do that, it will elevate. It will bring holiness into it, or it will elevate the shard, the spark into holiness. Okay. Otherwise, we have no authority over holiness. So it's a partnership of the physical and the spiritual. Jim, would you like to continue? Now,
Yep.
man.
Now, man certainly requires assistance of the upper worlds to accomplish the aforementioned things, and the upper worlds require the assistance of the lower worlds, man in turn. This is the mystical meaning of the verse, give power to God. In Jewish thought, once God created the world and placed man in it, he made certain aspects of the world's functioning dependent upon man's actions. In this sense, we may conceive of God's ability or strength to bestow his beneficence on the world to be determined by us again simply because this is the way God set it up and wants it to be.
Okay, 22. This is why the spiritual levels of creation descend during the week to assist man in elevating the shards. Remember we said at the beginning of this chapter before Pesach that on Shabbos, that the triad of spheres rise to the next triad. So I think, whatever. This is why the spiritual levels of creation descend during the week to assist man in elevating the shards. And the 7 lower spheres of Atzilus become vested in the 7 days of the week. It's an order that is that gives us the ability that we can now do the work and elevate the shards. Go ahead, Jim.
For this reason, the upper worlds descend on weekdays and become vested in levels below their own in order to assist man in the process of elevating the seven fallen kings. Weekday consciousness is therefore one of being out of one's element, being an emissary sent on a mission, feeling at home, and in one's element is Shabbos consciousness.
Continue.
This is why the seven lower Sifirot of Asilut descend, and they become vested in the seven workdays in order to elevate it. The Arizal now explains why he refers to the seven workdays when they are really, in reality, only 6.
Okay, page 668. However, only the 6 spheres of Zerampin have the ability to elevate shards. This is why there are 6 workdays. Malchus, the feminine parts of, is not able to elevate shards. Therefore, work is forbidden on Shabbos. Since elevation is accomplished by Zerampin during the week, the elevation of Malchus on Shabbos is also the result of the efforts of Zerampin. Why can Malchus rise on Shabbos? Because of the work of Zerampin during the week. Okay, go ahead, Jim. 668, however.
However, only Zeranpin, the male figure, has the power to do this. So there are therefore only 6 workdays. The 6 extremities of Zeranpin elevate all the days of the week themselves. But with regard to the 7th day, the Sabbath, the day of Malchus, Malchus is incapable of elevating it. On the contrary, it's only by virtue of what was elevated by Zerampin during the week that Malchus ascends on the Sabbath. The 6 extremities of Zerampin are simply the 6 Sephirot, out of which it is constructed. The text of Sefer Kutim continues with the following phrase, thus everything adds up to 36, as we said, which is half of 72. I have no idea how this could fit into the text here, and it is absent in the parallel passage.
I do see possibly how we have 36. That's the 6 days of the week, 6 times 6. Each one
36, yeah.
Each one made up of the others could be 36, but I wouldn't know what the connection is to 72. We didn't think of that yet. Maybe in 7 years when we get around to this again.
It's half 36. So.
Yeah, but so what's significant about that? Okay, 724
is okay. In Havaya, the 3rd letter of Havaya
is Vav.
Vav, yeah.
Yeah.
Vav. So I know there's some way of getting to 72. It's escaping me now.
Well, 72 is Yud K Vav K is the expanded spelling, and it's also Chesed.
Right. So I'm just pointing out with 72, playing with it. That's all.
Yeah, but what's the connection here? I'm not sure. So 24, this brings us to a paradox. Thank you, Jim. This brings us to a paradox. Shabbos is the day that's holier than any other, and it's aligned with Malchus, the lowest of the seers, while Zeranpin, which is higher than Malchus, is associated with the other 6 days of the week, not Shabbos. Zeranpin's higher. It should be aligned or associated with Shabbos, but it isn't. So the reason why is, being that Zerampin is higher, it has greater power than Malchus to descend and associate with and repair the 6 days of the week. Based on other sources, I was thinking that Zerampin, Abigail, this is for you, Zerampin is the male parts of, is built or equipped to go on the attack and elevate Klippa. And Malchus, the feminine parsel, is focused on preserving and defensive measures, protection, and is not equipped to deal with adversity or outside forces like klipa. And I think that fits in with stuff that we've learned in other places, or that I have learned. Or maybe I dreamt it. Okay?
Maybe both.
Yeah. All right, Jim, continue. This will explain.
This will explain for you why the Sabbath, the holiest day, is associated with Malchus, the lowest Sephira, while the other days a week, which are associated with Zeranpin, which is higher than the, are entirely profane. The reason is
and she's
that
so worried that he doesn't have food and no one's keeping an eye on him. She wants to know someone could check in.
the reason is that the higher one is the less he's afraid to descend to the lower level than his. This is not the case with Malchus, as should be evident. The energy and nature of Malchus, as such, that is not simply equipped to elevate the lower realms on its own, as is Zeranpin. Feminine energy is too focused on the divine imperative to spread divine consciousness, to contend with the dichotomy of divine consciousness and the material world.
Okay, the sentence before in the bold is, the reason is that the higher one is, the less he is afraid to descend to a level lower than his. Okay. Now, this is amazing stuff. Just as Malchus, the feminine parts of, does not have the ability to elevate, Shabbos does not either. This is why labor is forbidden on Shabbos. Because nothing can be elevated, the 6 spheres of Zeranpin leave the lower places where they are during the week, and they ascend to their original places. In their higher places, they are not able to elevate. Instead, they interact and produce new souls. It doesn't say with whom they interact, but they interact and they produce new souls in their higher places. Okay, Jim, continue.
But on Shabbos, the consciousness of Malchus is ascendant, and Malchus is incapable of elevating the 7 fallen kings. Therefore, on this day, the 6 higher extremities, Zeranpin, that were vested in the lower worlds during the 6 workdays return and ascend to their original status. When they are below, they elevate what there is to elevate below. But when they are above, in their proper places, there's nothing there to elevate. All they do there is couple with one another and produce new souls. This is the secret of the holiness of the Sabbath and the reason why marital relations are prescribed for Torah scholars on the Sabbath. For on that day, the result of these relations are new Sabbath souls, originating in already elevated source, not in the realm that requires elevation. As long as the pervading atmosphere in the lower worlds is determined by one of the 6 aspects of Zeranpin, that is male, elevation can occur. As soon as the conduct of the world passes into the hands of Malchus, however, elevation is not possible. A married couple elicit a soul for their offspring relative to their state of consciousness during relations. The ideal time for relations is thus on the Sabbath night, since then consciousness is naturally more attuned to higher divine levels. Even when the couple engage in relations during the week, they should attempt to put themselves into Shabbos consciousness.
All right. Amazing.
Good stuff.
I don't want to go, but I have to go. This is directly related to what I was struggling with last night studying. But anyway, so I'll watch you guys.
Okay.
Watch you on the big screen.
Yeah, you mentioned that. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Okay, good night. Thanks for joining while you can.
Night. Good night.
Right.
Okay. So, according, she mentioned, Abigail messaged me before that you'd only be able to stay for part. According to what we just explained, the spheres that rise to a higher level on Shabbos do not really go higher. it would be more accurate to say that they descend for the weekdays to elevate shards of tohu and return to their original rightful place on Shabbos.
Mhm.
Gershon, would you like to pick up 669? Still.
Still, the ascent of the world on the Shabbos is not a true ascent. As we have explained, when the Sephiros are in their proper place, it is enough for them to elicit new souls through their coupling. But when they go to elevate the sparks of Ohu, they descend to levels lower than their own and become vested in these levels. This occurs on weekdays. It thus follows that it is only to their native original positions that they return on the Sabbath. During the week, they are not in their true place, but below it, and they only descended there in order to elevate the seven kings. Thus, what happens on Shabbos is not an ascent to a level higher than the native level, but just a return to a normality after the exceptional, unusual situation on the weekdays.
Okay. Is this amazing?
Mhm.
28. When the world was created before Adam sinned, everything was on a higher level. Adam was higher than the highest angel, Tron. Likewise, the spheres were all on the levels that they reach today, only on Shabbos. Okay.
You can understand you can understand all this better based on what we explain in our exposition on Adam. That is, how he was originally on a higher level than Tron than Tron is now. Based on this, you will understand that when creation first occurred, the worlds were naturally on the level that they reach nowadays only on Shabbos. Tron is the highest angel.
All right. Now, instead of saying the spheres are elevated on Shabbos, it would be more accurate to say that they descend on Shabbos from their original positions, and on Shabbos they revert to their original positions to produce or bring new souls. 670.
They descend on weekdays
What did I write?
on Shabbos. Correct?
Yes.
Goody.
Thank
All
you.
right, 670. It follows that
You
on
don't know
weekdays.
how, I keep telling you guys how much effort and focus it takes to write this.
Yep.
Okay, I'm obviously I'm like, pushing it off. I'm getting distract myself here, distract myself there. Okay.
It follows that on weekdays, the Sephiros descend in order to elevate the sparks, and on the Shabbos, we restore them to their proper places in order that they draw down new souls through their coupling.
Okay. The 30. As we said, this is why labor is forbidden on Shabbos. On Shabbos, cleansing, purification, elevation of shards does not take place. Instead, as we see with souls, only new things are produced. And like we said, this is called birur. Okay, these are all translations for birur.
When you say only new things are produced, are you saying souls? Only new souls are produced?
It's the same idea. But we can't pick up the shards and clean them off because those are old stuff that we're cleaning. Those are used cars. Those are used parts. We only get new on Shabbos. And I guess it's like a comparison to the souls.
It has to be souls because we can't produce anything else. Anything else will be doing work. You can't do work, so the only thing you can produce
That's
is souls.
everything. Okay. Okay.
That's
That's one way to look at it.
Good. This is the reason behind the prohibition of work on the Sabbath. Even those types of work necessary for the preparation of food, which are permitted on festivals. For there is no elevation to be performed on the Shabbos, everything is new. Since everything is new, not the fallen remains of the primordial world, There is no need to elevate anything.
Okay. 31. This is also why on Shabbos we read the Tillim of Shiru Lashem Shir Chadash, sing to Hashem a new song.
And that's exactly
It's
what it says. This is a,
new.
yeah.
Go, Gershon, say it.
This is
Hello.
the mystical significance of the new song sung on the Shabbos, as it is written. Sing to Hashem a new song, which we recite on the Shabbos. Even separating is forbidden. And oh, should I continue? No.
No,
No.
do not. Okay. 32. One of the 39 forbidden labors on Shabbos is borer, to select or separate. In the process of breaking bread, wheat has to be separated from the chaff. Generally, if 2 or more items are mixed together, it's forbidden to remove the bad from the good. It's only permitted if the good is removed from the bad and it's done for immediate use. And I think from my olden times, I thought there was a third condition, but I don't remember what it is. I think you can't, I think you have to do it by hand. You can't use a tool. I don't remember. But in any case, so this is called borer, which means to select or separate. You're taking bad from good, or you're taking good from bad, but it's not for immediate use. Hold on, let me see what's on 33.
Even what he's going to read next, it says by hand.
What?
Even with the next paragraph that Gershon's going to read, it says by separating by hand.
Okay, one moment. Okay, so go ahead, read the next paragraph.
Even separating is forbidden on the Shabbos. Separating, birur, is one of the 39 archetypal, that's how you say, forms of work forbidden on the Shabbos. The type of separating forbidden is separating out unwanted elements from a mixture of wanted and unwanted things. The technical term is separating food from refuse. For example, if there is a bowl of good and rotten fruit, it is forbidden to separate out the rotten fruit in order to be left with the good, with the bowl of good fruit. Separating the good fruit from such a mixture by hand in order to eat it immediately is permitted, since this is considered a way of eating, rather than separating as an end in itself. However, it is forbidden to separate the good from the bad if one is doing so to eat later rather than right away. Since this is in this case the fact that one does not eat the separated elements right away dissociates the act of separating from eating, and it becomes an end of itself. It is evidently to this type of separating the wanted from the unwanted that the Arizal refers to now.
Okay, 33. The Hebrew term for selecting that's forbidden on Shabbos is borer. The Hebrew term for purifying shards is very similar, birur. In this context, purifying shards would mean to select the shard and cleanse it from klipa. Since, as we said, we are not able to purify or elevate shards on Shabbos, we are also not allowed to select good from bad for use at a later time. We can only handle things that are all good, without waste product, similar to the new souls. Rudy.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Gershon.
And thinking of the watermelon, let's say a seeded watermelon.
Excellent. When I was a kid, that was the big thing. That
What?
With watermelon, you can't pull out the seeds. You eat it, and then you can spit the seeds out. But you can't,
You see how far you can spit them.
What?
And you see how far you can spit them.
You could do that. You have a contest with your wife, Alan.
Right.
The mystical reason why we do not separate out the wanted from the unwanted on the Sabbath is that on the Shabbos there is no such thing as separating something from refuse. That means from the 7 kings, for everything is in the category of the wanted, new souls devoid of any refuse. The spiritual correlate of separating is elevating. That means decontextualizing the fallen sparks of Tohu from the material orientation in this world. That means separating the wanted from the unwanted or refuse in order that it be free to ascend.
So this would mean even like, let's say you don't like the black jelly beans. No kidding. So you have a mixture, you can't pull out the black jelly beans. They don't want. It would be if you have
You pull out the ones you do want and leave the black ones
Yeah,
behind.
you pull out the ones you
yes.
like.
Yes. Or if you have like lettuce and some of the parts of the lettuce are really bad, you can't take that off. I did see a question. I remember learning this many years ago, and one of the great rabbis of the 20th century said, you go to a Shalom Zachar at someone's house. There's a Friday night. They have a baby boy, and when it's time to leave, everyone threw their coats on the bed, and you start looking through to find your coat. You pick this one up, move it over. You pick that one up, move it over until you find yours. He said that would be an issue. That would be a problem. I think he said, like, what are you supposed to do there? And this is one of the leading, Reb Chaim Nah, one of the leading authorities of the 20th century.
That's
34.
why you make schnitzel on Shabbos,
Yes, of course.
so you don't have to pull out the bones.
Another country,
Right, Rudy? What?
That's why you make schnitzel for Shabbos. You don't have to pull out the bones.
There's no waste product.
That's
It's
right.
all good. There's only good.
Thank
no
you,
waste.
Alan.
If a person, God forbid, violates Shabbos and performs one of the 39 forbidden types of labor, he forces the energy above to descend as if it was weekday. It is not able to elevate, and Klippa can intercept the holy energy. Here we're back to the fumbles and interceptions, guys. Klippa can intercept the holy energy. Go ahead, Gershon, you're reading?
When a person does do some manner of work on the Sabbath, just as separating, he causes the supernal energies to descend below, just as they do during the work week. The forces of evil can then attach themselves to these energies. When these energies are dragged down below and there is nothing for them to elevate, they can be easily diverted by the forces of evil for their own purposes.
Dolphins, porpoises, same thing. 35. Now, Klippa is called the realm of death, and this person caused holy energy to be grabbed by Klippa. This is the meaning behind the statement in Torah that whoever desecrates Shabbos shall surely die. Aside from the contextual meaning, it also means that the person who violates Shabbos causes holy energy to be intercepted by Klippa, the realm of death. He diverts holy energy to the realm of death to Klippa. Go ahead.
The forces of evil are called the realm of death. It is therefore written of the Shabbos, those who desecrate it shall surely die. The Torah gives the death penalty to someone who has on his own already cut himself off from the source of life. Here, by working on Shabbos, the individual has divorced himself from the divine energy, informing the world, and even worse, misdirected divine energy to become available to the forces of evil. Evil, as we have defined it previously, is the ascendancy in man's consciousness of self-awareness or ego. Attempting to work to accomplish and rectify reality when it is not in need of this is an affront to Hashem's plan and purpose, as if he is saying that he knows better than God what the world needs. This attitude, rather than fostering divine consciousness, fosters human ego, which will in the end only oppose divinity.
Okay, this is where we're going to stop. There's a lot
of stuff.
This was amazing.
Yeah. Very helpful.
Who said that?
I said it. Very helpful.
Wonderful.
Jim?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, amazing things here.
Yeah.
So
Thank
so that's the difference between Shabbos and the rest of the week. The rest of the week is kind of male. Shabbos is female. Shabbos we go out, we work, we can elevate, we can transform, we can repair. and Shabbos is like, it's like women, about preserving. It's for it only deals with new things. It's and this is why we work during the week. Incredible stuff. Anyone want to comment?
No, I want to thank you. It was wonderful, wonderful class.
Thanks.
As always.
Yeah. Helps put into context the battle with evil during the week, and helps for that purpose.
Yeah, and unfortunately, even on Shabbos, look at October 7th.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Today's Yom Ha'atzmaut.
Yom Ha'atzmaut. Yeah.
Must have been tough over in Israel today.
Sad. It's so sad.
It was very difficult the last couple of days, but they
Very
look at it as an obligation. If you read from the soldiers, they say we're doing this so that we want you. We don't want you to be hiding. We don't want you to be depressed.
Yeah.
You guys, I
No.
shared there was a miracle last Friday. Did you
Yes.
see there was in Sderot there hadn't been a siren in quite a while,
Yeah.
and a bunch of kids were out on the playground. You saw that the sandstorm came.
Yeah.
And everyone had to run home, and 5 minutes later there was a rocket. It hit the playground
Right.
right after everyone left.